Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into one of the most shocking, dramatic, and symbolic moments of the Russia-Ukraine war. A moment that didn't just damage infrastructure, but damaged the image, narrative, and pride of one of the world's most powerful nations. This is the story of how a single attack forced the Kremlin into silence, confusion, and embarrassment, and how it exposed vulnerabilities that Russia never wanted the world to see. This wasn't just a strike. It was a blow to Russia's identity, a hit to its authority, and a moment that changed global perception of the war. When the attack happened, the world reacted instantly. It wasn't simply about the physical destruction. It was about what that destruction represented. For years, Russia projected itself as a nation with unbeatable defenses, strong borders, and invincible infrastructure. But in just a moment, this image cracked. Cameras captured flames, smoke, and chaos. Analysts across the globe said the same thing. This wasn't only military failure, it was humiliation. The Kremlin, which always tried to show control, suddenly looked vulnerable, and that vulnerability traveled faster than the explosion itself. For Russia, this specific bridge was more than concrete and steel. It was a symbol of power, connection, and dominance. It represented political control, military superiority, and strategic advantage. The Kremlin invested not only money but pride into this project. Officials called it one of Russia's greatest achievements. State media glorified it as untouchable. But the moment the attack hit, all of that narrative collapsed. The structure shook, the flames rose, and the illusion of invincibility vanished in seconds. This was the type of symbolism Russia never wanted the world to witness. In the hours after the explosion, chaos spread through Russian media channels. At first, officials denied the scale of damage. Then they blamed external forces. Then they gave contradictory statements. This confusion made the humiliation even worse. When a powerful country cannot clearly explain what happened on its own territory, the world sees weakness. And weakness is something Russia tries to hide at all costs. Watching Moscow struggle to control the narrative was itself a moment of global shock. Ukraine, on the other hand, saw this as a historic moment. For a country fighting for survival, fighting against a larger power, this attack became a symbol of strength, determination, and strategic brilliance. It showed that no matter how strong an enemy may appear, precise planning and courage can achieve the impossible. Ukrainians celebrated not just the destruction, but the message behind that destruction. It became proof that Russia's dominance wasn't absolute, that its defenses had holes, that its pride had cracks, and that its control could be challenged. International reactions supported this view. Experts from Europe to America called it one of the most embarrassing military episodes for Russia in modern history. Even countries that didn't openly support Ukraine admitted the attack changed the balance of perception. It showed the world that Russia could be hit at its core. It questioned the efficiency of its intelligence. It exposed the weakness of its defense systems, and it affected how nations interacted with Moscow in diplomatic conversations that followed. Inside Russia, anger started to build. Nationalist commentators demanded answers. Military bloggers accused the government of negligence. Soldiers' families criticized the lack of protection. Even some politicians expressed frustration. For the Kremlin, internal criticism is far more dangerous than external pressure. It becomes a fire they cannot control. And after this attack, that fire began to grow. Every voice demanding accountability reminded the leadership of the embarrassment they were desperately trying to hide. The damage wasn't only symbolic, though. It had real consequences. Supply routes were disrupted. Military logistics faced delays. Transportation slowed down. Russian forces waiting for fuel, ammunition, and equipment felt the impact immediately. Commanders had to reroute shipments, causing confusion across multiple regions. War doesn't pause, and when logistics suffer, soldiers suffer. This created frustration on the front lines. Troops questioned leadership decisions. They wondered how such an important asset wasn't protected. The psychological impact was heavy. For Russian citizens, the attack became a moment of disbelief. The government had promised security, strength, and control. But now people were asking, if such a major structure can be hit, what else can be targeted? The fear spread quietly, but it spread deeply. And fear is one of the most powerful political weapons. When citizens lose trust in their leaders' ability to protect them, instability begins to grow. The Kremlin understood this, and that's why it rushed to restore operations quickly. But restoration cannot erase humiliation. Meanwhile, Ukraine used the moment to strengthen its diplomatic position. Allied countries felt more confident in providing support. The attack proved that the assistance they gave was not going to waste. It proved that Ukraine was capable of striking meaningful and strategic blows. It boosted fundraising, military aid, and political backing. International leaders pointed to this attack as evidence of Ukraine's resilience and intelligence capability. For Ukraine, this moment wasn't just a victory. It was a powerful message to the world. As the days passed, images of the destruction circulated endlessly online. Social media amplified the humiliation. Memes, videos, satellite images, and expert breakdowns flooded the internet. No matter how hard Russia tried to downplay the event, the world had already seen the truth. And once an image of weakness enters global consciousness, it cannot be erased. The Kremlin's attempts to shift blame, rewrite the narrative, or hide details only made the situation look worse. The psychological impact on Russian leadership was visible. In speeches, President Putin's tone shifted. His expressions changed. His frustration became more obvious. He called emergency meetings. He demanded investigations. He promised revenge. All of this revealed something the Kremlin rarely shows: emotional reaction. Strong governments usually avoid emotional responses in public. But this attack shook Russia so deeply that it cracked the outer shell of confidence, and every crack was noticed by the world. Even Russian allies were surprised. Countries that supported Moscow quietly questioned its security capabilities. Military partners who relied on Russian technology started reconsidering their strategies. If Russia's heavily protected infrastructure could fall, what did that say about the reliability of Russian defense systems? These doubts created long-term consequences for Russia's global partnerships. Trust is important in geopolitics, and this attack damaged that trust significantly. All of this was happening while Ukraine gained psychological dominance. The attack boosted morale across the country. Civilians felt more confident. Soldiers felt more motivated. Leaders felt more powerful. This type of morale shift can change the direction of a conflict. War is not only fought with weapons, but with spirit. And in that moment, Ukraine's spirit was higher than ever. For Russia, the humiliation remained like a stain. Even after repairs, even after restoration, even after rebuilding, the memory of the explosion stayed alive. Journalists brought it up in interviews. Analysts referenced it in reports. Military experts compared future incidents to it. It became a benchmark for Russian vulnerability, a reminder of the day the Kremlin was forced into silence. And the world watched as Russia tried to recover, but recovery takes time. Repairing concrete is easier than repairing reputation. Russia's narrative of invincibility was shattered. Its image of total control was damaged, its strategic confidence was questioned, and its leadership was embarrassed on the global stage. This moment became one of the defining chapters of the war. It showed the world that no nation, no matter how powerful, is untouchable. It proved that determination can break through even the strongest defenses. It reminded the world that pride, once broken, cannot be rebuilt like a bridge. The attack humiliated the Kremlin not because of the physical explosion, but because of the symbolic explosion that followed. And even today, analysts and historians refer to this moment when explaining how global perception of Russia began to shift dramatically. This incident didn't just damage infrastructure, it damaged the myth of Russian strength. And once a myth is broken, it never returns to its original form.